We're looking at a letter written by a woman named Rebecca Blodgett to Aaron Burr, a former Vice President of the United States. It's intriguing for many reasons, but the one that intrigues me most of all is the fact that we found this letter in the collection of a rather distinguished, notable gentleman of the early 19th century, and yet it's written by a completely unknown woman and one whose sentiments we want to take a look at. But the letter came to us out of the clear blue sky, rather remarkable, one might say, but also typical, perhaps, of the ways in which historians have been able to find documents that relate to women.
There are now many manuscript libraries that are devoted to collecting the papers of women, and people are often surprised that many of their correspondents were men. This letter comes from one of the greatest collections here at the New York Historical Society, the great collection of the papers of Aaron Burr. And Aaron Burr was a man who took women very seriously, respected them and their minds, unlike the other famous men of the founding generation. He raised his daughter Theodosia to be an intellectual. He made sure that she learned not only the accomplishments of a lady, music, arts, but also Latin and Greek and foreign languages, French, and English composition and French literature. And then they exchanged hundreds of letters about serious matters. He also made himself available as a lawyer. He was a practicing lawyer in New York City. Toward the end of his life, he was very accessible to many women who brought their problems to him. Many of them were poor women, working women, seamstresses who'd not been paid for their work, and Aaron Burr took their cases. And some of them were women like Rebecca Blodgett, who was caught in one of the traps that coverture provided. Under the rules of coverture, a married woman's property was controlled by her husband, but at his death, she was entitled to at least a share of the family's property. The use of 1/3 of the real estate for her life, and ownership of 1/3 of the movables after the debts were paid, which meant that she could not always count on having this money. Rebecca Blodgett found herself a widow. She was supposed to be able to inherit her widow's section of the family estate, but there was a brother-in-law who moved very fast and did many clever legal tricks and basically absorbed the property that she understood herself to have inherited. And she turned to Aaron Burr, and we have some of her correspondence with Aaron Burr. And it's long and it's complex and it goes on for a long time. What I want to point out here is that this is a handwritten letter by an educated woman, and toward the end she says, she concludes her letter by saying, I don't know what you can do for me, but I want to be mistress of what is really mine. And then she goes on to say, essentially, I know your energy, and what's implicit is, I can count on you. And that just comes right out of that letter.